Hi, good morning everyone. I'm Dr. Sridhar Reddy, Coordinator Clinical Research Programs and Projects, BCRI, Bangalore Clinical Research Institute. And a very warm welcome to one and all for this morning session on Career Development Program on Clinical Research and Clinical Data Management on behalf of Bangalore Clinical Research Institute. And I would like to welcome my dear colleague Pankaj Rana, whose experience making us to provide the best in quality training to the students and corporates. And finally, I would like to extend my warm welcome to today's keynote speaker, Mrs. Padma Priya, Clinical Data Architect, who has more than 10 years of experience in clinical research and data management. And finally, BCRI, with decade plus years of experience in the clinical training industry, providing the best services to our students and as well as our clients. It's exactly with the effort of us and the best wishes from you all made us to stand as a fine-tuned training provider in clinical research industry. And I'm very much honored to invite you all for today's webinar on, as mentioned, Career Developmental Program on Clinical Research and Clinical Data Management. Okay. Welcome you all. Okay, clinical research. What is clinical research? And why we need to go for this? Let's see, let's have a glance. The slide quoting it, it's an organized research conducted on human beings. It's a field that deals with the study and also analysis of health as well as illness in case of human beings. And it is the means through which the scientists analyze how to prevent, diagnose, and treat illness. I'm saying once again, prevent, diagnose, and treat illness. So it is intended to provide adequate information exactly about the drug, how it is going to work, how it is therapeutic, how we can call it as a therapeutic agent, why we are using it, whether it is safe or not, how about adverse effects. Clinical research describes many different elements of scientific investigation. Basically, it involves human participants and helps translate basic research into new treatments. Once again, I'm saying into new treatment and information to beneficial for patients. Next slide, please. And clinical research are the only important way for discovering new treatment for diseases and also as well as new ways to diagnose, detect and reduce the chance of developing the disease. Clinical trials can show the researchers what does and does not work in humans, what will work, what will not work on humans, that cannot be learned in the laboratory or in animals. No, we can't learn directly from the animals, which we can get it through humans. That's what exactly called it as clinical research, where we are going to test the efficacy, how it is working, and what is the toxicity ratio, what is adverse event ratio, what is adverse drug reaction. And clinical research we are doing not only for the purpose of drugs, but also for the purpose of medical devices or biologics, whatever it is, for everything which you are intended for human use, that is through clinical research. In other words, we can say that the trials are the best way to get answers to any difficult scientific and health related queries. That's what clinical trials, which are exactly very important for discovering new treatments for diseases. Next slide. Okay, we are saying about clinical trials since long time, but why it is happening only in India? Why not in other country? India is the hub for clinical industry, pharmaceutical industry. That's one of the best reason where the people are behind India. And what are the goals and why it is India? India has emerged as global hub for clinical trials, and sufficient regulatory provisions are in place to ensure safety of the participants. That's why people are looking towards India, and we are also ensure proper compliance with the regulatory norms. And also we have professionally trained personnel in case of GCP, good clinical practice, and also in case of clinical trials, we have all the people who are very well trained in case of clinical research and also communication in case of, as I said, like GCP, good clinical practice. We have enough number of people from India. That's why the whole world is behind us. That's the best way why the people are behind India. Why India? This is my answer why the people are behind India. And next slide, Priya. What are the advantages of India? Why the people are completely taking an advantage of India? As I have mentioned, and it is considered as a preferred site for conducting global clinical trials. I'm saying global clinical trials. It's not only in India. Take an example of completely whatever the clinical trials are happening throughout the globe that can be conducted easily in India. Why? Why it is exactly existence of a large treatment naive population. We have a large treatment population who are exactly available, and availability of English speaking. We have good number of people who are English speaking, and very good amount of skilled doctors, and plenty of clinical material are available with India. And one of the best advantages of India, why the people are behind India, is cost savings, or the obvious advantages for carrying out clinical research in India. Why? Because to conduct clinical research, it's cost effective, and duration will take more than 10 years. It's not that easy to bear. That's why India is one of the best platform for cost savings and by default advantages for carrying out clinical research in India. And we have good amount of skilled people, which we have mentioned here. Availability of medical pharmacy science graduates. Yes, we have B Pharm, M Pharm, life science background, doctors, paramedical. We have all the people. When coming to IT industry, we have equipped a lot with IT. We are one of the highest resource to the world as IT industry. Definitely, we have good amount of English speaking people and prevalence of diseases. That because of most population, whatever the population you have, you can compare, you can go through, you can calculate the ADR, adverse drug reaction, you can analyze adverse event ratio, all can be possible. And when coming to patent, we have multiple patent laws here. Is a product based. You have a product. You can have a patent only for the product. Yes, possible. And procedure based. You have developed a procedure. Developed a procedure. You can have a patent for that. Yes, definitely. That's why the people are behind India. We have very good amount of population who are skilled, and we are a platform where we can comparatively compared to any other country, we are the best platform for clinical trials. We are talking about global drug discovery, or previous slide, global drug discovery. What is meant by global drug discovery, and why we need to talk about this? Why the people are behind global drug discovery? And many MNCs, multinational companies, have been attracted by India's new drug discovery ratio. And many of these firms have founded state of the art like research facilities in India. We have even very good amount of research facilities and low cost that have been attracted by many countries. And when coming to a hub of pharmaceutical research and development and clinical trials for many leading the foreign pharmaceutical companies to look into India. That's why, and also you can check it out. Why I'm talking about India? You can observe many countries over here, and we are on the top, almost 16. You can see in case of CAGR, you are around 16, where exactly the measure when compared to any other country, we are the one of the leading global drug discovery part throughout the globe. Take compared to US, compared to Japan, compared to Brazil, Russia, Mexico, any other country, we are one of the leading global drug discoverer. Next slide, Priya. Yeah. And also you can see this slide showing that even US FDA, Food and Drug Administration, has been approved drug development plans in India. It is ready to approve in many other countries also, Italy, China, Spain, Taiwan, Israel, Hungary. But we have more than 100 approved plans. Drug developmental plans are more than 100. It's not confined to 100. It's more than 100. Indian companies are also the largest supplier of, take example like anti-malaria and tuberculosis drugs in Africa. We're proudly saying one of the largest supplier of all these, let it be anti-malaria and tuberculosis. And needless to add, these cost much less than drugs supplied by us. Okay, and also US and European drugs are also playing major role in this, and we are playing the leading role in this US FDA drug approved plants. And several experts from all over the world have hailed Indian drug companies. I'm saying once again, all over the world, several experts hail in Indian drug companies. No wonder, once again, quoting India as is called pharmacy to the world, quoting that pharmacy to the old. That's why this is a global drug discovery hub and also one of the leading drug providers. And we have leading approved plants when compared to any other country. Come to the next slide, Priya. Okay, and what is clinical research and who are exactly going to participate in this? When coming to clinical research, I have explained you already the people who are trials consists of what? It's consisting of 4 phases, and they can what they can focus. They can focus on treatment, prevention, diagnosis, screening, supportive care, health services, all these are completely relying on the clinical trials. And definitely a research team is has to be very effective. Very effective it should be. It may include doctors, take example like investigator, nurses, social workers, healthcare professionals, scientists, clinical data managers, pharmacovigilance sessions, data analytics people, and also clinical trial coordinators, clinical research coordinator. We require all these people to coordinate the process of clinical research, and also on the top, we need the sponsor who is exactly to sponsor complete the procedure of new drug development. Then coming to the CRO, who is going to implement what exactly the targets, what are the directions given by the sponsor is going to be implemented by CRO, contract research organization, or some people calling it as clinical research organization. Take example, Novartis, IQVIA, Covance, Tata Consultancy, many, Quanticate, Quarantine, and many are into this, many. We have huge number of CROs where it's a platform and hub of jobs. And finally, our our intention is new drug discovery and existing development, or maybe a device, or maybe a biologics. Definitely, we need volunteers who are voluntarily participating in the trial. And in the next level, doctors as investigators who can monitor completely the trial, which is effective, which dose is effective, and where is adverse event, why the adverse drug reaction, what is the rate of adverse drug reaction. Then completely has to be managed the clinical trial and clinical research by CRO, the people. CRO, I'm saying clinical research managers, let it be clinical data managers, pharmacovigilance people, safety associates. Many people are participating to manage the trial. And complete trial in India is going to be have hawk look by regulatory authority, Drug Control General of India, Drug Controller General of India, who will look into your trial, whether we are following the regulatory guidelines or not. Let it be ethical committee. And what is the site? Obviously, the site is a hospital where the people are participating. The site is a hospital, and maybe some laboratories which will use it for investigation. Let it be any sample you are taking it for investigation. That is the lab, and that too you need to take it to accredited laboratories, not to all. And regulatory affairs, we need to ensure that we are following the regulatory guidelines. So we have the managers where exactly they'll look into regulatory affairs, and where they'll instruct us, they'll guide us where to follow the regulatory guidelines. And data managers like CDM, clinical data managers, and also statistical managers like clinical SAS programmers and safety managers, they look into complete methodology and statistical developments to prove that which dose is safe, what is the amount of adverse drug reaction, what is the amount of efficacy, how many people have been recovered among total participants. And medical writers, definitely they're one of the biggest platform to develop our study document. Whatever the document we are writing, definitely they are going to develop the document in the form of writing a publication in any medical journal, or writing a report and submitting a report. And these are all people who are involved for the successful running of clinical research program. Okay, coming to the next slide, Priya. Okay, CR industry. Since long time we are talking about clinical research industry. What exactly uh, it is required? To whom it is looking for? It requires us. It requires, yeah, exactly. I'm quoting once again. It requires us, and also it captures us. When it captures, when we have the ability of the skills to perform, exhibit, and finally we need to prove ourselves in the form of we are qualified. I'm a clinical research professional. I can do this. I can do better than anyone else. Yeah, I'm into safety. I'm able to maintain this data without any discrepancy. You check 100 times. I have entered the data. I'm entering the data without any discrepancy. There is no duplicate. And also I'm able to communicate to any certainty. To any people, I'm able to communicate easily. Tapping again, good communication skills. Hands-on experience. Once you are getting exposed to multiple procedures, multiple terminologies, multiple trainings, definitely you are qualified. Then CR industry, clinical research industry is waiting for us for an opportunity. Definitely attitude. Attitude matters. Need not to explain much about this. We have a good attitude towards the clinical research industry and towards my company. Yes, if you have all these, and definitely it will look towards us. Thus, the clinical research industry is looking for us for a very well-trained professionals. Maybe a student, maybe an employee. Next slide, please. Okay, these are the careers like what you can look out into a CRO. That can be clinical team leader, clinical trial assistant, clinical research associate, clinical research coordinator, associate director, or clinical data analyst, whatever it is, medical director, medical writer, many. These are all few functional, top level functional careers which we have mentioned, like associate director in clinicals, next to manager. next to senior manager. You can become assistant or associate director. That can be clinical, that can be into projects. These are all. And where we can, project management, you can be into drug development, you can be monitoring like vigilance, pharmacovigilance, and source data verification. CRF is one of my source, case report form. You just verified whether absolutely collected the data or not. And safety reporting, patient safety report, and how to get approval, and how to get approval from the regulatory authorities and auditing. Finally, how to develop the business, clinical research, developmental business, how to maintain that. These are all careers in CRO. Come to the next slide, Priya. Yeah. And specifically, if you are particular with clinical data management, I'm giving one example, only clinical data manager. You can look it out, clinical data manager, you can clinical data associate, yeah, you can. And also data entry operator, data validation, one of the major part in clinical data management. And quality analysis manager, whatever the data you are entering, whether you are able to maintain the quality or not. Completely, we have given data reviewer. I have entered the data. There is a reviewer who can review the data again and again. That can be possible. And when coming to statistician, whatever the data, statistically sound data, that also can be. That also can be one of the best career in clinical data management. And the mode of work can be database design, data entry, data validation, data review, whatever we have mentioned. These are all the paths you can maintain in case of clinical data management. Coming to the next slide, please. Okay, how we are going to get selected in the selection procedure, how it is going to be possible. And whatever it may be, then MNC, when they are taking us, you need to prove yourself that I am a successful candidate. It's completely your duty to prove yourself. No one knows better than you. I'm mentioning once again, no one knows better than you. You are an aspirant, and you are with a variety of educational backgrounds. And who are the aspirants? The students are the aspirants, yes, and also employees with some professional experience. They are all aspirants, and most of us have a degree in life sciences, or pharmacy, or paramedical, or doctors, or dental, or computer science, engineering, like biotechnology, BE biotechnology. And some may have graduation certificates in the area such as clinical research. The certificate can be in clinical data management, certification in pharmacovigilance. All these are particularly the basic requirement criteria in case of selection procedure. And also you need to perform a written test. A written test which exactly provide you to know your strength, ability towards the English, and also towards the medical terminologies. What are the medical terminologies you are strong in it, and how? In case of completely, the written test is to know about medical terminology and how strong you are in communication skills and in English. Definitely, many of us, because of our effort, we are strong in this presentation. Speak to the people and don't be numb. Interview is not a punishment. Interview is a platform to prove ourselves. It's not a question and answer ratio. It's a platform to prove ourselves, to say ourselves, to project ourselves. What we are. There are some people. You have studied till 22 years, 23 years, 24 years, 25 years. Completely this much amount of experience you are putting in a piece of two papers and presenting to them. So try to present the best in form of communication. That's what one of the best. When you are getting a chance to speak to them, submit yourself. That's what, again, the personal interview. What you want to do, what's your target, what you are going to do for the company, And maybe a question, definitely, why I need to take you? Be ready for these answers. And what are the skills you have? What are the developmental aspects you have? What are the developmental aspects you know about clinical research? What is your knowledge towards the clinical research, good clinical practice, and whatever it may be the regulations? And and they'll ask you, do you know the job profile? So these are all you need to know. And these are all the platforms where you need to get ready for the selection procedure. And come to the next slide, Priya. Come to the next. Yeah, what we need to have. I have explained to you all these, like you need to know what is drug developmental process and clinical trial phases, who will participate, how to design, how to perform the trial, and who will participate, what is the final report of this through the statistics, and what is AE, adverse event, what is ADR, adverse drug reaction, and what is the regulatory authorities, and what is the ethics, which regulatory authorities we are following, and what is pharmacokinetics, dynamics, all these, what is the need of a new drug, and how can you develop an existing drug, and what's meant by a disease, what's meant by illness, how to diagnose, and which is the best way of diagnosis, and which drug is suitable and which route is suitable, and completely how best you are in case of computer skills. It's basic information, basic computer skills. We are not asking you to learn Java, C, Unix or something. The basic computer skills, whether we have or not. That's our knowledge. Coming to the next slide, please. And when coming to the salary, here I can say you very proudly that we clinical research industry start small, but while aiming it is very high. And always we highlight what we can bring to this position, and what are all our investments for this position. Voluntarily, how we have learned all these things, not by force. And also I can say, see here the ladder. This is one of the best recession-proof industry. Never come down. It don't come down at all, because drug development, screening, safety, efficacy, these are all a continuous process. Without this, no, human world can't survive at all. Have anyone imagined that Corona will come? It will block complete world. It has come, and see now each and every CRO is working on COVID trials now. There are opportunities, and coming to the uh, exactly the platform, whereas the occupations, we are the best into this. Take examples here. I'm showing a vertical platform. You can. It completely depends upon you to grow financially, to go professionally. This is the best platform. Next slide, Priya. And proudly, I can announce that these are few of our successful candidates, successful products, and now who are clinical research professionals. And when they entered to BCRI, they have a question from them: why I need to take this course? And the next question is, why I need to join in BCRI? Why not other? And now they have the answer. And finally, I would like to thank my dear students to make us proud. And you have like many of these students working in multiple companies like IQVIA, Covance, PPD, Accenture. People are multiple. These are all definitely few CTCs which we have mentioned. It's at basic entry level. Associate clinical data analyst. It's basic entry level. They have proved that is the success of BCRI. They have proved. So hope many of you may be a successful stars. Okay. Next slide, Priya. And why BCRI? We have shown already. You please reach out us for gain new skills in clinical research. Yes, definitely. The platform for career developmental program in clinical research. And if you want to expand your career, or if you want to expand your career option, yes, we have. Even in pharmacovigilance, even in clinical data management, even in clinical SaaS programming, particularly with clinical research. And completely the world is involved in this. That's why BCRI is the best platform for college students to earn more potential into their profession. And for employees, for the job satisfaction, which exactly in career growth, through career growth. When you are gaining new skills, definitely you can grow in the ladder. It will support you even financially and professionally. That's why we are saying once again, quoting once again, we are one of the best platform for continuous learning process. Okay, thank you. Next slide, Priya. And thanks. These are few courses we have mentioned here, few courses which we are providing. And now over to Priya. Priya, please carry on.
Thank you, Sridhar. I hope everyone enjoyed the introduction about the clinical research, right, and the BCRI. So let me introduce myself. I'm Padma Priya. Have done my PG in clinical research and I have around 10 plus years of experience in clinical data management. I am associated with one of the top CRO in the industry as a technical designer. I am associated with BCRI for more than a year. Okay, I have trained more than 50 professionals and we place them in top CROs like CROs and sponsors like IQVIA, Covance, Novo Nordisk, etc. You might have seen some slides, right? So all are our students, and they all placed in very good uh, companies, CROs, and sponsors. And I'm happy to invite you all for today's webinar on clinical data management. So, what is the definition of clinical research? I think Sridhar rightly explained, but anyway, I just want to reiterate on the same point again. And what is clinical research? It says it's a branch of healthcare science that determines the safety, effectiveness of medications, or it can be a device, or it can be a diagnostic product intended for human use. Okay, before we want to try it on the human, okay, we have to try it on the animals or in cell culture. Okay, so the clinical research industry, it's a backbone of pharmaceutical industry. Okay, the clinical research helps to find new or better ways to detect, diagnose, treat, and prevent diseases. Okay, the clinical research is a big umbrella. Under that, we have, the clinical research divided into. Slide is not moving. So the clinical research divided into two categories. The one is preclinical phase, the other one is clinical phase. Okay, the preclinical means before. The word itself clearly explains pre means before, right? So the prior to clinical phase, when I say clinical phase, it starts on the human being when you administer the medications. The medication is called as investigational product. In clinical research, we'll call the medication, the new medication or the new molecule as what? Investigational product. I'm going to investigate whether this particular medication is going to treat the target population or not, right? So it's called as investigational product. Okay, so that investigational product need to be tried. We should not directly try on the human being. Before that, we have to try on animals or in the cell culture. Okay, that is called preclinical studies. Okay, so without this clinical research, so in simple sentence, so bringing a molecule to market. Clinical research means, the simple definition is bringing a molecule to market. So the molecule is your chemical entity. Okay, that molecule, if the pharmaceutical company, the pharma company finds out and they wanted to market it, right? That's the scope of all the pharma companies. I think you know the pharmas like Cipla, Novo Nordisk, Novartis, Roche, AstraZeneca, Pfizer. Okay, so these are all the sponsors names or pharma names which we are hearing from the news, right? So these are all the examples of pharma companies. Okay, so when I say pharma companies, so they are the backbone for the clinical industry. Okay, so the pharma company will find out a molecule. So that molecule, without the clinical research stay, it cannot reach the market. So between your molecule and market, there is a bridge that is called clinical research. So without this stay, the drug will not be marketed. Okay. So it says the clinical research is the mainstay for bringing out a new drug to the market. As I mentioned, the clinical research done on two phases. One is preclinical phase, the other one is clinical phase. Preclinical is your animal studies. It's called as animal studies. Okay, it can be done on test tubes or cell culture also. Okay, in vitro or in vivo trials. Okay, so why we are conducting these trials? To know or obtain the preliminary efficacy, toxicity, and pharmacokinetic information of a drug. So, how effective this particular medication is. So, we want to know if I give the paracetamol medication for fever subject, maybe it will take 2 hours or 3 hours of time, right, to come out of the fever, right? So how effectively it's working. So if the subject, if the patient temperature is more than 100 and more than 101 or 102, I'll give one IM shot, right, intramuscular shot. Because if I keep them for 100 degree or 101 degree for more than 6 or 7 hours, maybe that may lead to some epilepsy or fits. Okay, so to avoid that, what I will do, I'll just reduce the subjects or the patient temperature by giving one IM shot, which will work very fastly, right? Oral medication it will take a lot of time, means hardly 2 hours or more than 2 hours it will take. But if you directly administer the medication intramuscular or intravenous, okay, then the effective of a medication will be a little faster. Okay, so we want to see the efficacy of a medication, how fast it is working, how good it is working on the population. And toxicity, if I'm taking a medication, it should not cause lot of adverse event, right? The side effects called as adverse event in clinical research. Okay, any untoward medical occurrence which may or may not have a causal relationship with the study drug is called as adverse event. So if you take a medication, most of the time we'll see there may be a lot of adverse event which is mentioned in the package insert. Okay, you might have seen that if you take metrogel, you may get some vomiting sensation or nausea. So that is called the side effect of a medication, that is called known side effects. So how we have known that? Through conducting a clinical trial, most of the subjects. So in clinical trials, we will not call we will not call them as a patients. Okay, we have to call them as a subject. Okay, that subjects, if the subject is taking medication, and it should not cause lot of side effects to the subject, right? Already I am in a ill state, so if I'm taking some medication, it should help me to come out of the illness. But it is causing lot of side effects, obviously we will not prefer that medication, right? So we have to see risk and benefit of a medication. If the risk is more, then that particular medication we will not take it, we will not prefer to take it. But the benefit is more, we will prefer to take it. Okay, that is the toxic, means the medication turn into harmful to your body. Okay, it become harmful to your body, that is called toxic level. So if I say paracetamol, maybe 650 mg you can take, or 1000 mg, 1500 mg, you can take 2 tablets maximum of per day, you can take 3 or 4 tablets, that's a maximum. You cannot take 10 tablets. If you take 10 tablets, it will turn into toxin to your body. Okay, so we have to assess what is the maximum tolerance level to your body. So this is the minimum tolerance and this is the maximum, so that also we have to study that. Okay, so the toxin means when you are taking the overdose medication, then it's called as it become toxin to your body. Pharmacokinetic effect of a medication. So pharmacokinetic, it says absorption, ADME process. Okay, absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion, how it is working well on your body. So we have to study that pharmacokinetic effect. The efficacy and toxicity of a medication need to be studied in the preclinical studies. Each and every trial, whenever you are conducting a clinical trial, each and every trial there should be a rationale to run the clinical trial. So So when it comes to a preclinical study, without reason, I will not conduct a trial for 1, 2, 3, and 4 phases, right? Unwantedly, I will not repeat the same thing again. So each and every phase, there will be a rationale for it. Okay. So when it comes to a preclinical study, we have to check. So what I will do in the preclinical studies, we will, the sponsor will take maybe, let's say, 10 guinea pigs or 10 rats. Let's say it's a diabetic trial. So they will take 10 diabetic rats for a trial. Okay, 10 diabetic rats. So how will I know the rat is diabetic? I have to take a sample from that animal and then I have to analyze it. Then the result. So how we will do it for humans? We'll take a blood sample and then that will be analyzed in the lab and then they'll give a result, blood glucose level. Your blood glucose level is 100 to 110, 120. It's normal. So if it is more than 120, it's called as what? You are having some margin diabetic, type 2 diabetes. Okay. So diabetic mellitus. So if your blood glucose level, based on your blood glucose level, they'll categorize it. Okay. So same way for animal also, I'll take a sample from maybe, let's say, 100 rat I have taken. I've taken the sample from all 100 rats. Out of 100 rats, I have diagnosed 50 rat having diabetic illness. So what I will do, I'll keep that 50 rat in a separate cages and then I'll start giving my investigational product to the animals. Okay. You should not directly try the new molecule or the new investigational product on the human. Rather, you have to try it on the animals or on the cell culture. So if I'm giving it, day one, the result shows the blood glucose is 250. And for other rat, maybe 300, 350, 400 or 150, it's on the higher side. I started giving the medication. Maybe it will go for 6 months or 1 year. Okay, the duration will be decided by the sponsor. The sponsor will be the pharma company. Okay, now I'm giving the medication to the animals for a certain period. When I administer the medication over a period of time, I'll take at frequent interval, I'll take a sample. So if we have diabetic subject, obviously I'll ask them to go for a regular checkup, right? So regular checkup, they'll take a sample and then they'll check it. Next month, what is your, blood sugar level? The next month when you go, you have to go with the result. The diabetic subject, whenever they go and meet the diabetologist, they have to go along with their reports. Simply if they are going, no, the doctor may not know what is their blood glucose level. By seeing a subject face, I cannot make out, right? So they have to go along with the report so that what is the difference, whether you are getting improved or your condition is getting deteriorated. So those information you can able to make out by seeing your results. That is called your investigation, right? I cannot see someone's face and say what is your blood glucose level, what is your hemoglobin level. I need an investigation. So if I perform that investigation, then I come to know the exact blood glucose level. Now I have the track of all 50 rats blood glucose level on day one. Okay, let's say today we are starting the clinical trial on preclinical studies on animals. Okay, so it's a 1 year trial. So next year, 2022, every, see, it's a 1 year trial till 2022, January, the trial will happen. Every month, I'll take a sample from a subject, means the animal. Okay, and then I'll see the result. From day one, I'm giving the medication to the animals. Monthly interval, I'm taking a sample because every day I cannot take a sample. There will not be no blood. Okay, so every month I'll take a little sample and then I'll check it whether the animal is getting recovered, how it is progressing with the medication, right? So end of the trial, all the 50 or maximum of animals got recovered. Their blood glucose level is under control now. So what it says, the medication is really working well on the, right? By seeing that result. So we need the data. That is called data. Day one, what is your result? Day X, what is your result? Or each and every interval, whenever you're performing a test, what is your result? So these are all called as the data. So those data need to be analyzed, right? All the data I'm collecting, this is where the data comes from. The data comes from the subject, the data comes from the animal, the study participants. Through them we will get the data. So that data need to be analyzed. The statistician plays a very crucial role to analyze the data. When they are analyzing a data, then they will project it to the regulatory authority. We have recruited 50 rats. Out of 50 rats, all are recovered, or out of, this is the, maximum score. These are all the rats got recovered. Through this information, through this data, the regulatory authority, each and every country will have regulatory authorities. When it comes to India, it's called as DCGI, Drug Controller General of India. When it comes to US, FDA. Okay, so same way different countries have. Japan have their own regulatory authorities. Australia, each and every country have their own regulatory authority to approve the medication. Clear? When it comes to India, it's called DCGI. So when you are conducting a trial in India, you have to submit all your documents, your preclinical data to whom? DCGI. That's called as regulatory authority to approve the drug. So they will look into the data, whatever you gathered. If they find, yes, this data is really will work on the human population as well. If they think in that way, they'll approve the medication to start with your clinical phase. Okay. So then comes your clinical phase 1. So the clinical phase 1, when you want to start with your clinical phase 1, there is an application called Investigational New Drug Application, IND application. Along with this application, you have to submit your preclinical data, whatever you collected, whatever you gathered through preclinical data, you have to submit to the regulatory authority for their approval. Okay, then they'll ask you to start with your clinical phase 1. Okay, so there is a clinical phase 0 also, and most of the time the phase 0 and 1 together, they'll merge 0 and 1 together. Okay, so in 0 they'll just check the pharmacokinetic of a medication again on the human beings, but in phase 1 they'll merge everything. Okay, the phase 1, the reason I told, each and every phase there is a reason or the rationale to conduct the trial. Okay, when it comes to phase 1, here in phase 1 we will conduct on healthy volunteers, so it's called first in man trials. Right, we are trying it on the first time. We are going to try the new investigational product on human beings. That's called first in man trial. Okay, so here we will not select the patients, we will select the healthy volunteers. You might have heard from the news, right? AstraZeneca or Pfizer completed their phase 1 on healthy volunteers. Why we are doing it on healthy volunteers? There are few exceptions. When it comes to a oncology drugs, we will administer on the subjects, patients. But when it comes to other medications, we will try it on the healthy volunteers. Okay, so here why we are conducting this phase 1, the reason behind is, as I mentioned, we have to decide the dose, which is the minimum tolerance dose, and what is the maximum tolerance dose by the subject. Let's say paracetamol medication. It's a simple example, it's a common example, that's why I'm just using this. So the paracetamol medication for an adult, we need at least 500 mg of paracetamol or 650, right? That is the minimum tolerance dose. But I should not take 10 mg, 5 mg, 50 mg. It will not work because my height and weight is different. So the 10 mg will work for a pediatric population. Their height and weight is very small. They're small babies. So that will work for them. So each and every physician, whenever they are prescribing a medication, whenever you go to hospital, first thing what they will do, they'll ask you to go and check your height, weight, your vital signs, your pulse rate, your blood pressure, everything will be assessed. Then only the doctor will give the medication according to your height, according to your weight. They'll back calculate. They will not say that according to your height and weight I'm giving this medication, but behind their mind they'll calculate, okay, this is the height of the subject, this is the weight of the subject, what other underlying conditions you have, right? Whether you have some ulcers, so maybe they'll change the medication because this medication will not work for the ulcer subject. It will cause a lot of side effects. So all the perspective, from the physician perspective, they will think and then only they'll prescribe the medication. Okay, so here in the phase 1, what is the minimum tolerance dose? So what I will do, I'll take a healthy volunteers. Why I'm not taking a subject? If I take a subject, already they are in ill state. right? So if I take a diabetic subject, I cannot increase the dose to 2000 or increase the dose to 50, right? It may lead to a lot of serious adverse event. So I don't want to do that. That's why I'll take a fit person who doesn't have any other, who will not take any medications, who's free from all disease. That's the reason I'm taking a healthy volunteers. Because if I take a patients here in the phase 1, they may take other medications for their disease, right? If I'm taking a diabetic subject, let's say it's a diabetic trial, if I'm taking a diabetic subject, I should not ask them to stop their medication, whatever they are, right? They are taking some other medication, or the diabetic subject, it is not that they will have only diabetic illness. They may have some thyroid illness, they may have some, some other cirrhosis illness, right? Or some hypertensive illness. They may have some other underlying cause. For that also they will take medication. Because I want to try my, why I'm telling this, because there is a drug interaction and food drug interaction, right? There is a drug interaction or food drug interaction. Already the subject is taking a lot of medication. On top of that, you are giving some investigational product. We may, if some side effect happens, we may not know the side effect caused by IP or due to some other medication. We can find out, but it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. But if I'm taking a subject who is free from all disease, they doesn't have any disease, they are free from disease, then I can give my medication. What I'll do, I'll give the paracetamol medication 50 mg. It is not working well. Then I'll give 100 mg. That also it is not working well. Then I'll give 200, 300. So I'll increase. So this is the maximum tolerance you can tolerate. Then I'm increasing to 2000. They are telling, no, I am having some severe giddiness. I'm having some severe abdominal cramp. Then that is the indication for me. This is the maximum dose the subject is tolerating, right? So I can know the threshold of a subject. This is what it is. After that, I cannot increase the dose. After that, the normal healthy volunteer also not tolerating it. Okay, so what I will do, I'll fix dose fixing will be done in phase 1. What is the minimum tolerance dose and what is the maximum tolerance dose by the healthy volunteers will be decided in phase 1. Okay, that's the reason we are conducting a phase 1. Pharmacokinetic and dose fixation, dose fixing, dose escalations will be decided in the phase 1 trial. When it comes to phase 2, as I mentioned, 20 to 80 healthy volunteers will be taken. And what is the best way to administer the medication? Whether it is oral is best, or IM is best, or IV is best, or topical ointment is best. I will decide the route of administration as well as the dosage in clinical phase 1. When it comes to phase 2, when I successfully completed my phase 1, I'll move on to phase 2. Safety, here what I'm doing, I'm studying the safety and efficacy of a medication on 100 to 300 patients. When it comes to phase 2, it's patients, it is not healthy volunteers. Even COVID trial also, first thing what we will do, we'll try it on the healthy volunteers, then we will go with the phase 2 on the subjects. So what I'm doing, I'm assessing the safety and efficacy of a medication. Whether the medication, if I give to the subject, whether they are coming out of the illness or not, how effectively this medication is working well on the subject, or is it causing a lot of side effects to the subject, or is it safe to the subject? I want to assess everything. Okay, so to study or evaluate the safety and efficacy of a medication on 100 to 300 population is called as your phase 2 trial. When it comes to phase 3, you have to increase the numbers here. So 300 to 3000 population. I'm increasing the population because I cannot say that, it is working well on the 100 subject, then it will, it passed. I cannot say that because that 100 population, whatever you have taken, when you are going to the broader population, 3000 population, their metabolism is different. So how it is working well on the greater population, larger population, you have to study that. Okay, that's the reason we are increasing the numbers. That's called phase 3 or pre-marketing phase. Okay, the clinical phase divided into phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. So phase 1 for healthy volunteer, phase 2 on subject, 100 to 300 population, phase 3, 300 to 3000 population. So since it will go up to 10,000 also. Okay, I worked on the study where 10,000 population were there. Okay, so the population will be more. Since the number is more, it's more expensive. and time consuming and difficult trials. So most of the time I'll use the comparators. So let's say for COVID, we don't have medication, so I cannot compare it. But when it comes to diabetic, let's say I have my investigational product called Glycomed. That is my investigational product. So there is available treatment, right? So many diabetic subjects, they are taking the medication. Let's take example of metformin, which is available in the market. Okay. So I will use a comparator. I'll take two groups, group A and group B. So group A is my investigational product arm, Glycomed arm. Group B, 50 patient, here 50 patients. So group B also I'll take a subject with metformin, whoever taking metformin, 50 subject. So end of the trial, I will analyze who is recovering faster. So I'm dividing. So in college and all, we will just have a group, right? So group one and group two, group A and group B. Which group is performing better? Which team is performing better? To know the individual scores. So which team is performing better? So collectively, I can say if investigational product is better, we have to prove to the regulatory authorities. What is the available treatment? Metformin. Comparatively, my investigational product is working fine. We have to prove something. So we should not say that, already that medication is available. You have to prove whether, see, the metformin you have to take 3 times a day, but glycomed once a day. The subject is getting benefited, right? Because 3 times a day, the subject taking the medication is more painful. But one time, if they take little, you are reducing the pain. Or let's say, the available treatment in the market is injection format, insulin format. But now you are coming up with the oral format. So you have to prove your current investigational product is better than the available treatment. Okay, in terms of route of administration or in terms of the efficacy of a medication, you are reducing the frequency or you are reducing the price. Right, initial days the Covaxin medicine, maybe they are charging 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. But if most of the sponsor will pitch in and and then they'll start working on the medication, and then the price will be reduced. Right, if the competition comes, the price will be reduced. Right, maybe you have to prove price wise I am better or efficacy wise I am better. Right, you have to show to the regulatory authority this is what we are coming with. That is your goal to run the clinical trial. Okay, so this is what we have to prove it in the clinical phase 3. And when you completed your phase 3, there is one more application. Initially we had one application called IND application, investigational new drug application. Right, when you start with your clinical phase, you have to submit an application called IND application along with your preclinical data. Now we have completed preclinical, clinical phase 1, 2 and 3. Right, so what you have to give along with the NDA, new drug application, you have to have your manufacturing details, your preclinical data and clinical data. You have to submit all this to the regulatory authority for their approval. When they approved it, then you can sell your market. Means you can sell your medication in the market. Okay, that is called post marketing surveillance, PMS. The drug receives permission to be sold. Now you can go and get the paracetamol medication. Now you can go and get the azithromycin medication. How? It reached the 4th phase. That's why it's available in the market. Whenever you go and buy, you have to think it might have crossed all the 4 phases. That's why it's available in the market. Clear? So when it is available in the pharmacy, it means it reached the phase 4. Okay, some medication, it may reach the market, but sometime the medication will be banned. The example, most of the medication, ANAS and many medications, even they are telling Rantac also. So we are using the Rantac for quite longer time, but now they are realizing it, it causing a lot of carcinogenous effect. Okay, so widely people are using it. Not only they are not taking only that medication along with other medication. As I mentioned, drug interaction. Due to that also, the subject may get some other additional side effects. Right, so when wider people using the medication, that time we may encounter a lot of issues. If the medication is really helping the community, it will be there on the market. If it is causing a lot of adverse event or serious adverse event, the medication will be either banned or the medication will be called off from the market. Okay, the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 FDA approval and phase 4. Okay, so if when it comes to USA, you have to get the FDA approval. When it comes to other countries, you have to get the country specific. If you want to market in all the country, let's say you want to market your drug in all the countries, then all the country approval is needed. Okay, that's what this particular slide talks about. And phase duration. Okay, the duration. Uh, the particular phase 1 will be little smaller phase, and phase 2 is medium phase, and phase 3 is a very larger phase. So it takes here several months, here several months to 2 years, here 1 to 4 years. And pharmaceutical enterprise. So how the drug discovery, so this is called as what? Drug discovery phase. We are working on drug discovery. We are discovering a drug, whether it is really will target the particular population. Let's say if I'm coming up with anti-diabetic medication, my target population would be diabetic mellitus subject. If I'm coming up with anti-thyroid medication, my population would be thyroid population. We are fine. So drug discovery. So this is all called as what? Drug discovery phase. Okay, we have to find out the molecule first, and then it has to undergo the preclinical phase, and then clinical phase starts with the human being, and then the particular medication need to be manufactured, labeling, and then regulatory authority, and then they'll manufacture the medication, the sales, marketing, and the safety surveillance. Okay, this is the overall cycle of clinical research. Clinical trial process. So develop clinical trial plans. Okay, write a protocol review, and then see, we have to draft the protocol, and then final protocol will be reviewed and then approved, and then we'll start the screening. We'll find the potential subjects, potential investigators, and then we have to look for a site. So which is the right site? When I say in India, I'm taking a Apollo Hospital is a very renowned hospital. I'm taking that Apollo Hospital as my site, right? The hospital is a place where we conduct the clinical trial. The sponsor is a pharma company. The principal investigator means the physician. If I'm conducting a diabetic trial, the diabetologist, the renowned diabetologist in India. Okay, so called as the principal investigator. Okay, and the Apollo Hospital where I'm conducting the clinical trial, that is called the site. Okay, so we have to conduct the clinical trial in the site level. Okay, when you're conducting a clinical trial, so it's like a triangle symbol. Okay, sponsor on the top. So think a small triangle, and top there is a sponsor. One side your site, your hospital. Okay, the principal investigator is the one who conducts the clinical trial, who executes the clinical trial in site level. One side, we have a clinical data management team. There comes our role. Okay, as a clinical data manager, the data, right? I mentioned the data comes from the subject. So when you collect the data, that need to be transferred to the database. So the database, what are all the data? The database, the examples of database: RAVE, Inform, OCRDC, VDoc. Okay, so these are all the major platforms. Major platforms are Rave and Inform, but we have some OCRDC also one of the major platform, but VDoc, and we have some budding platforms where we can capture the information. So it's like a database. So each and every hospital, if you go to hospital, there will be a database. Okay, so if you go first, they'll give a form, demographic form. You have to fill the details, and then you have to give to the receptionist. So they will have their own database. Next time, if you are going, if you are not bringing your case files, if you tell the number, your phone number, they can able to make out. Okay, this is what your number is. This is your principal. I mean the physician details. Okay, so that every team will have their own data. So each and every hospital will have database. So we have to transfer the information, whatever we are collecting, whatever the information we are gathering, that is your source document, that need to be transferred to the database. The database examples I have given: RAVE, Inform, VDoc, OCRDC, Oracle Clinical Remote Data Capture. These are the platforms widely we use in the clinical industry. Okay, so the data need to be transferred to the database. When you're transferring to the database, then as a data management, let's say if I'm working for a CRO like Covance, then I will get the data from the site. The site is the place where you are conducting the clinical trial. Okay, you will collect the data from a subject. That data, whatever you collected in the paper format, that need to be transferred in the database. When you are transferring into the database, if you save the form, when you save the forms, that forms, that will be reflected to the data management team. When they save the form, next minute I can view it, what data you entered. Okay, it's like sharing platform. Like we have a WhatsApp, right? So if you type something and send it to me, I can able to view it. Same way, the database, the place where the site, let's say the trial conducted in US, Japan and India. From US site also, the CRC or the PI can enter the data. From Japan site also, they can enter the data. India site also, they can. We will be linked with the platform. There will be a URL. So if we have the Gmail, so if I want to share the slide with you, I'll use that Gmail as a platform, right? We have our unique IDs, we have our unique credentials, right? So with that credential, I'll share the details with you. You can download and you can share it. If there is no internet issues, we can share, we can transfer the information. Same way, the database is the place where you transfer the information between the clinical data management team and the site. Clear? And then end of the trial. So if you collect the data, end of the trial, it need to be analyzed by the statistician team. They will analyze what is the outcome we derived out of the trial. So that report you have to submit to the regulatory authority for their approval. Okay. And then the particular database will be locked. Clear? Clinical research, clinical trial overview. The study need to be designed, each and every study. When I say diabetic mellitus is one of the trial, hypertension is one of the trial. Okay, so each and every trial, each and every study called as the clinical trial. Okay, that study design, what is the design for conducting that particular study, how this need to be implemented, what is the design, whether it is an open label or it's a single blinded or it's a double blinded. So we don't have much time to discuss on those, but that's called as a design. How are we conducting the trial? Okay, and we have to select the investigator. So who is the renowned person in the industry that we need to select? So when you select that investigator, then the ethics committee team who preliminarily looking for a patient's rights, safety and well-being of a subject. And then they'll give an approval letter to start the clinical trial in that particular site. And then the investigator meeting or kickoff meeting will happen. And the site will be initiated. I'm selecting that particular site. And then the monitoring or the study enrollment, patient enrollment, and then the monitoring activity. The monitoring means the CRA, the sponsor, there will be a representative called as clinical research associate. That person will go and oversee the clinical trial, how it is happening in the particular site. So that is called monitoring. Okay, so the CRA role is to go and monitor the particular site, how the trial is being executed, whether it is running according to the GCP, good clinical practice, or is it running according to the protocol. Each and every study will have a protocol. So the study has to be executed based on the protocol. Okay, so the monitor job is to go and evaluate how the trial is going on. Okay, and then the data management activity comes. When the data management activity completed, then the statistician will review and they'll generate a report called as clinical study report. And then that report will be submitted as a final report to the regulatory authority for their approval. Trial stakeholders. So the teams involved in the clinical trials, as rightly mentioned by Sridhar, the patient, the industry, CRO, okay, and the funders means the sponsors, okay, ethics committee, hospital, PI, regulatory affairs, data manager, medical writers. So all are called as stakeholders in clinical research. Regulations, the act of controlling, managing, directing according to the rules led by the laws, governed by the regulatory bodies. So as I mentioned, there is a regulatory authority who works under the Ministry of Health India, or each and every country will have their Ministry of Health. Under that, this particular regulatory authority will function. Worldwide regulations, USA, as I mentioned, United States Food Drug Administration, India, DCGI, okay, Canada, the DCGI works under the CDSCO, okay, Canada, Health Canada, Australia, Therapeutic Good Administrations, UK, MHRA, Europe, EMEA, Switzerland, Swiss Medic, Japan, MHLW. Okay, these are all the regulatory authorities who will approve the drug in their particular country zone. So it talks about FDA each and every countries. Okay. So what is mean by GCP? It's called as good clinical practice. So it's a set of ethical guidelines to be followed in clinical research. Whether you are conducting a trial in India, whether you are conducting a trial in Japan or US, UK, whatever it is, the concern we have to focus on the GCP, good clinical practice. There is a set of ethical rules formed by ICH, International Conference on Harmonization, formed by EU, Japan, and US. These three countries unitedly created the ICH GCP guidelines. So whenever, wherever you are conducting a clinical trial, you have to abide with or adhere with the GCP guidelines. That's what it says. It's a set of ethical guidelines to be followed in clinical research. CRO, Contract Research Organization. Okay, the example, IQVIA, Parexel, Covance, Navitas, Quantician, Quanticate. We have many companies. Okay. So, but IQVIA, Covance are the major, Parexel or the major, top CROs. Sponsor, we learned. The one who funds for a clinical trial called as the sponsor. Okay. The responsibilities of a sponsor is to initiate and manage the clinical trial. All responsibilities, entire clinical related responsibility, the major responsibility lies with the sponsor. Investigator is a person who conduct the clinical trial in a site level, hospital level, the experienced physician. Okay, if I'm conducting a diabetic trial, diabetologist is my PI, principal investigator. If I'm conducting an oncology trial, oncologist in India, who's a renowned oncologist, that person maybe I'll select as a principal investigator to conduct the trial in the particular hospital. Guidelines, GCP guidelines, I mentioned this. When it comes to India, we have a ICMR guidelines. Okay, not only the GCP, all the country has to follow. But each and every country have their local guidelines. That is called ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research. So when it comes to India, we have to follow GCP along with local guidelines, which is ICMR guidelines. Okay. So each and every country also will have their own specific local regulatory guidelines. Even we have to follow that along with GCP guidelines. GCP is guideline is common for all the countries. Along with that, you have to follow your local regulatory guidelines as well. Ethics. What is ethics? The principles governing human character and conduct. Okay, so in older days, there were no ethics. Okay, so what they have done, they have used the prisoners, sailors, to participate in the clinical trial as a slave without their they are not informing to the subject. Okay, so the study participation, the subject participation is voluntary. Okay, if they're willing to participate, they will participate. Okay, we should not force them to participate in a clinical trial. That we all should know. That is their rights, their freedom to participate. If they wish to participate, let them participate. We can tell this particular medication, we hope this particular medication will really help you to come out of the illness. If they really wish to participate, they'll participate. We should not force them to participate in the clinical trial. The voluntary participation is very important. At any point of time, if the subject want to withdraw from the trial, they can withdraw from the trial at any point of time. Okay, so that is called their freedom or their voluntariness to participate in the clinical trial. We have to follow and we have to respect them to participate in the clinical trial. Okay, new drug application process. I explained this point. So what is the clinical data management? The clinical data management is a process of collection, cleaning, and managing the clinical trial data called as clinical data management. Whatever data we are collecting from the subject as a clinical data management, maybe, down the line, if you get placed in the CRO, what is your role? You have to clean the data. So how to clean the data? Whatever the protocol says, the protocol is the holy Bible or holy book in clinical trials. So whatever it says, we have to follow that. Whenever you are conducting a clinical trial, you have to follow the local regulatory guidelines, GCP guidelines, plus the protocol. Each and every study will have a protocol. Whatever the protocol says, accordingly, we have to conduct the clinical trial. Okay, so the clinical data management is a very essential part inevitable part in clinical research. Without the data, because the data is very important, I cannot go to the regulatory authority and say that I have completed my trial, please approve my drug. I cannot say that. They'll ask you, show the data, right? You should not claim that I have completed my MD or MBBS, or I have completed my PG in clinical research, or whatever it is, BTech or MTech. If you want to join MTech, they'll ask you, show your BTech certificate. You cannot say that, no, I completed, believe me and give me the MTech admission. You cannot say that, right? We need the data, we need the documents, right? Without data, you cannot claim that you completed it. Same way here also, the data management. So the data management is very crucial part in clinical research. You have to clean the data. Let's say the protocol says the age limit of a subject should be 18 to 40. Okay, we have to recruit a subject whose age is 18 to 40. Okay, but in the database, the what is being recorded is 17 years or 41 years. Will you accept it? We should not accept, because the CRC will enter the data whatever there. But as a clinical data manager, we have to clean the data, whether the data is correct, whether it is adhering to the protocol or not, whether it is compliance with the protocol or not, because the protocol says we have to recruit a subject whose age is 18 to 40. But by mistake, the CRC entered 17 or 41, which is out, the out of range value. So you have to correct it. So this is called data cleaning activity. So you should have a good understanding on the protocol. Then only you can raise a query. Whatever the questions you have to raise a query. In the database itself, there is a query option. You have to raise it. Then the site people will respond back. They'll say that, okay, by mistake, I have mentioned as 17, but it's supposed to be 19. Then data entry error, and then they have to save at the form. Now 19 years has been recorded. Now it is aligning with the protocol. Yes, because the protocol says the age limit should be 18 to 40. Now they change to 19. Then this is acceptable range. This is one simple example. Same like this, we have more examples, more information. We have to clean it. Okay, this is the responsibility of a clinical data manager. So we have to collect the data. The data will be sometime integrated through IVRS or IWRS. From the third party, the data will be integrated. Whatever data entered, we have to validate. See, if I say you completed MTech, they'll conduct some assessment, right? Exams will be conducted. When they conducted the exam, that need to be evaluated. Without evaluation, I cannot say who's the first mark scorer, right? Who's the topper, whether you passed or not. So I have to evaluate that. I have to validate that whatever you return is correct or not, right? Without that, I cannot say that, okay, all are passed, because all are written the exam, all are passed. Okay, we should not say that. We have to validate. We have to review the data. That's the role of the clinical data manager. Okay, the DM sits in the middle. Okay, we have to deal with the monitor, we have to deal with the study team, data acquisition team, safety team, coding team, programming team, and the site. Okay, see the importance of a clinical data manager who's in the middle and centered role to, we have to deal with all the stakeholders. The key members involved in clinical data management: clinical data manager, data coordinator, database programmer, and validation lead. Okay, these are all the key members involved in the clinical data management. Okay. So as a data management, as I mentioned, the quality of data is very important. Data security is important. Data privacy and data integrity. We have to consolidate all this information together and then validate the data. And the difference, there are two difference of database. One is paper-based system and is electronic-based. So paper-based is the old one. 10 years back, the system was used, and it's like a paper format. See, older days we used the inland letter to share the information. Now we have the WhatsApp. One click, you can share it with any person in the world. Okay, that is electronic mode. Same way we use the paper method, and recently we are using the electronic method. Okay, the form looks like this. Okay, so the form, there is a template, right? So if you are presenting some thesis, there will be a template. Okay, you have to follow that template and then provide the details. Same way, whatever the information we are collecting, the questionnaire will be prepared, right? If I want to assess your biology knowledge, then I have to give some biology question paper. In that biology book, Whatever is the important question, I'll ask in the question paper. You have to answer it. Then I can calibrate your knowledge. Right? Same way here also. Whatever is there in the protocol, accordingly, I will create a question paper. That question paper is your CRF, case report form. So in the question paper, obviously we'll have questions, right? These are all your questions or called as variables. You have to collect all the information from the subject. Then that data need to be analyzed by the statistician team. Okay, what is your blood pressure? When you visited the site, what is your pulse rate, temperature, respiration? These are all the examples. Okay, these are all the data from the subject. Edit check specification. Now, as I mentioned, the simple example, 18 to 40 years. Okay, that's a very simple example. Same way, we'll have multiple, important points in the protocol. So for each and every protocol, we cannot remember that. So there will be a prompt, we can program it using the programmer's help, using the technology. We can program those checks. That's called edit check specification. So I'll program the rule. Okay, it says, I'll write fire a query when the age is below 18 and above 40. If I program this check, whenever the site enters the value 17 and 41, the query will be prompted. It will correct, the particular CRC will get notified. Okay, this is what the message is, whether I have recorded whatever I entered is correct or not. They'll double check there itself. Instead of me raising a query, with the help of the programming or with the help of the technology, I'm programming this check. And then that particular programming will take care of that particular variable. Okay, that's called edit check specification. To find the erroneous data in the database, that's called edit check specification. And what are all the types we have? Missing checks, range check, logical checks, dynamic check, derivation checks. Okay, these are all the types of checks. We don't have much time to discuss on this. So, in interest of time, I'm just moving to the next slide. Discrepancy of management. So discrepancy management. Okay, how to deal with the discrepancy? Discrepancies means what? Some mismatch. Okay, it's called as discrepancy in the clinical research. Okay, some mismatch or mistake called as discrepancy, or error called as discrepancy. How you are managing it, how you are taking a resolution for it, that's called query resolution. As I mentioned, the query, they have entered 17. What I have done, I have raised a query. The entered value, the age is 17, but as per the protocol, the age should be 18 to 40. Please review and correct. If you raise a query, the CRC will review it and then they'll change the data to what? 19. Now your query is resolved. So this is how you have to take action and resolve the issues. Okay, that's what it says. And database locking. So end of the trial. Now let's say 1 year trial, the trial is completed and I cleaned the data, I validated all the data, and then the particular study will be locked. That's called database locking. When you lock the study, then the statistician role comes, and then they will review the data and then they'll present it in a standard data tabulation model, that is called SDTA module, and then that's a template required by the regulatory authorities. Each and every sponsor they are giving in their own way, then that is not easily reviewable. Okay, so the regulatory authority will have the standard template, and accordingly the statistician, with the help of statistician, the sponsor will submit the report, that is called clinical study report, to the regulatory authority to seek their approval or their permission to market the drug. Okay, so multi-center trials. So some trials will be conducted only in India. That is called country-specific trial. If I'm conducting a trial only in India, it's called country-specific trial. If I'm conducting a trial in other countries, it's called multi-center trial. More than one site, if I'm conducting a trial, it's called as multi-center trial. Okay, the responsibilities of CDM. So if you get into CDM, then you have a lot of responsibilities, not only data validation, the CRF design, how to design the CRF. Okay, how the database need to be built, edit check preparation, data entry, discrepancy management, data coding, data review, essay reconciliation, data transfer and closeout, quality control, database lock, electronic archival, and database transfer. These are all the responsibilities of a CDM. So initial days you will work on the data validation and data cleaning activity, and then slowly, if you gain experience, you can explore many aspects in the clinical data management. Okay, when it comes to leading CROs, the ICON, PRA, Covance, PPD, IQVIA, Parexel, Synos, Quanticate, Charles River. So these are all the major top CRO in the industry. Okay, okay, I'll give for questions. What is the chat?
Yeah, Priya. Thank you, Priya.
Yeah, thank you, Sridhar.
Here, you can raise any sort of question, whatever the question you have, you can raise towards the subjects, towards the industry, towards the jobs, towards the training. Anything to add, Priya?
Nothing from my end, Sridhar.
Okay. Pankaj?
Uh, as of now, no. Just wanted to inform. Follow to this, there will be new batches from our end. So anybody who wants to enroll for our upcoming batches, which is at evening 7:30, we already planned with Priya, so who is your today's speaker. So you can just reach out to me, uh, and I shall help you for the remaining procedure for enrollments and all. And if you have any doubts and any queries related to subject, Priya ma'am is there. Apart from that, any other things like how class would be conducted, or what may be the mode and how exams will be conducted, any sort of queries you can speak up. So we are all three here to answer your queries. Thank you.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Hi, my name is Sankita, and right now I'm residing in California. Currently, I'm a homemaker. So, uh, I worked before marriage in Chennai. So, there's a long gap of 10 years. I'm a homemaker with two kids. So, I just want to restart my career. I got to know about this clinical data management course through my friend who's in Europe, and she's a clinical data manager.
Okay.
So, you know, I browsed about this course in the internet, and I just came to know about this BCRI Institute. So, my question is, I don't have any prior knowledge or experience about this clinical data management course because I post graduated in bioinformatics 10 years back, and I didn't work here in US because I don't have a working visa. So I just want to know, uh, will it be easy for me to get through this course because I don't have any prior knowledge?
Okay. Let me answer. Exactly. Are you able to understand this, Sankita? Whatever
Yeah,
now.
yeah, I'm very much able to understand because
De-
I
definitely.
worked in Thomson Reuters.
Yeah.
So there I dealt with scientific journal processing.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I've abstracted many articles related to drug efficacy, pharmacokinetics. So
Yes.
I know the basics, but
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
too deeply into
But
it.
definitely the terminologies as well as complete protocol procedures are very much easier and very known
Okay.
to us, like inclusion criteria, exclusion criteria, who can be
Mm.
included into the study,
Okay.
protocol which we need to follow throughout the study, like Bhagavad Gita, which we are following completely the clinical trial based on protocol. Like this,
Okay.
how we are able to understand discrepancy. Is there any data missing or any duplicate? Now whatever Priya has explained, almost the terminologies are same.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, it's not that tough. It's not tough at all. When
Okay.
compared to
Okay.
your bioinformatics, you might have done docking and all.
Yeah.
Compared to that, it's definitely easier.
Okay.
You
Okay.
can
Thank you
perform
so much.
very.
I have one more question.
Yeah, please, Sankita.
Like, I just want to know the job opportunities because I'm in California right now, and if I do a course, which is a source in India I'm doing from BCRI, so I just want to know, will that course be recognized here if I go for jobs?
A course is recognized anywhere, globally recognized.
Okay.
Completely depends upon the individual performance in the interview.
Okay. Okay. Got
And
it.
yeah, and also I can say I'm carrying a globally certified certificate. If I'm not performing in the interview, so it's
Mhm.
an issue, right, Sankita? So
Okay.
definitely, uh, we provide the world class training, and that makes you to get in. in
Okay.
case of subject. Definitely, Sankita, you can.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, adding to
Yes.
Shrida's point, we have trained a candidate from Georgia. Okay,
Yeah.
recently, last 2 months back, we trained the candidate in Georgia, and she got placed in one of the top leading CRO in Georgia. Okay,
Oh, oh,
so she was very happy with our course, and she's performing very good in the industry. Okay, in the company, in the organization. So that is also one of the testimony what we have. Okay,
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you so much. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. Any more questions? I think.
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah. Please, Arpita.
Yes, I'm Arpita. I've been working in the CDM since last 4.5 years, and whatever Priya has covered the topics, I'm well thorough with it. The few things like ECRF designing, actually, that is not under my scope. So that's why things I'm not delivering it, and I'm lacking from this data manager position. So for that only I'm looking at this course. So the things like SQL, then the basic SAS programming,
Okay.
and like the ECRF designing, edit checks, that things I'm looking for the in the course, because rest of the things I'm well thorough with it. I'm daily doing that activity. I'm the leading uh, resources here also on the few projects.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in that way, how will you proceed with it?
Yeah, definitely. I think your requirement varies. You are talking about base SAS, I think. SAS also, right? You have quoted
I think
SAS.
she's looking for SAS plus,
Yeah,
CRF designing, ECRF
yeah, yeah,
programming,
yeah,
and the edit check specification, which is called startup activity, I guess.
yeah,
Na,
yeah,
Arpita?
yeah. Yes,
I
yes.
think
Yes.
yes, Arpita. So let me answer your question. So when it comes to BCRI, we are giving an end-to-end training. Okay, not only the data validation. Okay, or just not only the query resolution or discrepancy management. From the scratch we are teaching what is mean by clinical research. Okay, I think since you are in the into the industry, you may know about all the points. Okay, but what is your aspiration is you want to know about the startup activity preliminarily, right? So that is your scope. Yeah, so
Yes.
100% yes, we are giving a good training on CRF designing, and platform training, and how to design the CRF, and how to write the edit check specification, and what is mean by RBS, and we are teaching the SAS. We have the exclusive course for SAS as well. Okay, so if you want to learn SQL and few concept on the clinical SAS, you have to undergo the clinical SAS training. But when it comes to a startup activity where you can learn CRF designing, edit check specification, and reconciliations, so all the reconciliation, so these are all the syllabus what we have in the clinical data management. Okay, but we do give the training on startup activity, conduct, and close out.
Okay, but if I want to opt only these few things, then
Yeah,
not rest the activities become, because I'm well thorough with it.
definitely. We'll reach you in particular, Arpita.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
offline we can discuss more on this,
yeah,
Arpita.
yeah,
Oh, sure,
definitely.
sure,
Yeah,
sure.
definitely.
Thank you.
Definitely will reach
Yeah,
you.
you're welcome.
Any more?
Hello, sir. Good morning. My name is
Morning.
Diana.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, I'm a nurse. I'm working in London. I did my nursing from Bangalore, then I moved here. Thank you to both the speakers. It was very clear and precise. My question is, can you please explain about the assignments and test pattern? Because of the time differences, I just want to know about how the assignments and the test for the course will be conducted, please.
I think we are having a evening batch, Diana. Okay, I
Okay.
think that timing will suit you. Okay, so it's a
Okay.
7:30 to 8:30. I think that will match your time. Okay, that is not a problem. But 7:30 to 8:30. See, we have conducted a training for the person what I mentioned. No, she's from Georgia, so her timing also a little different from Indian timing, IST. So evening batch will take a evening batch, and then she'll work on that assignment, and next day again evening we'll join the class, and then she'll submit the assignment whatever we are giving. It is not every day I'll give assignment, so it's like whenever it's required we'll give the assignment, and end of the course we'll have the final assessment to know
Assessment.
your knowledge. Okay,
Okay,
so
ma'am.
time zone is not a big deal here.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah.
And I have one more question. Sorry.
No problem.
Just since, like for me, I'm very new to clinical research. I mean, I've
Okay.
seen people doing research. I've heard about it definitely, but I've not been involved.
Okay.
Um, After I finish the course, do
Mhm.
you recommend like an internship, or have you seen like any of your students taking internship? Have they, has it helped them, or do you think like a direct placement is a good idea?
Direct placement is what we are doing actually. We are not providing any internships, okay? It is not required what we feel, because each and every organization they will train you more on the platform, okay? So you should know how to deal with the platform. That is very important aspect, okay? So the when it comes to the clinical data management, what is your day in and day out task, okay? Each and everything we will clearly explain you, okay? So those perspective will be more clear. But what you need is you need the platform training. So that platform training, each and every organization 100% first thing they will train you on the platforms. It can be a rave or it can be inform. Okay, the proper training will be given by the respective organization, so no need to worry about it. But the process, what does mean by, so for your knowledge, I mean for your additional information, so I have also completed my BSc in nursing, okay, from
Okay,
Bangalore. Okay, and then I've
okay, ma'am.
completed my PG in clinical research. Okay, so it is more suitable for the nursing professionals and paramedics as well as the life science graduate. Okay,
Okay,
and so the learning is not a big thing. We can learn quicker because we know, we are familiar with the terminologies and the anatomy and physiology, right? So it is very easy for us. So the learning, the process is very important. Learning a platform is not a big deal. See, if you know how to use smartphones, any phone is easy for you, right? The navigation, maybe the icon symbols may be here and there, there may be a difference, but how to move to the next page, navigation, everything will be easy. So once if you learn how to use the smartphone, you can deal with any phone. Maybe one time it will be a little challenging because there may be icon differences. After that, within 1 hour you can just learn everything, and then you can explore, and then you can you can be very familiar with it. Same way the platforms also, the funda is same, but the functionality here and there may be a change. Okay, that quickly we can learn. Okay, that is not a big deal. Okay, uh,
sure.
so
Thank you, ma'am.
yeah, fine.
Yeah, I have one question.
Hello.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, Richa.
Yeah, this is Richa. I'm from Bangalore, and I have experience of 6+ years in the pharma industry in R&D sector. Okay,
Mhm,
so my question is regarding, see, if you consider me, I'm not from the clinical background, clinical data research background, but
mhm.
uh, if in perspective of interviews, how we are considered, like if somebody is from that background with a fresher and I'm from a different background, so what is the probability we people get in for the selection point of view? Although I understand interviews also are criteria to crack the interview and everything, but how exactly we are considered? Because we are not from that, and we are not also from pressure. So how we are considered in that prospect?
It's based on the industry, Richa. Okay, so same thing. Even I also completed my nursing, and I had around 3-4 years of experience. Okay, when I started clinical research. Okay, so few organization they considered it, since you have experience which is related to medical. So we are considering it. Few organization they will not consider. They will completely exclude that. No, that is not considered as your previous experience or domain experience. So it depends on the interviewer. I cannot say, I cannot assure
Okay,
you what
madam,
kind of.
that's fine. I do understand that. I'm not talking about using that experience in this field, but what is the, like, how they are, like, in if there are freshers and there is an experience a person from experience from different sector. So usually they have in a mind that it is easy to to make the fresher learn easily than comparing to experienced person. Like if you, so
I
that
will
minds, yeah,
I will answer to this.
yeah.
I will just tell you one more scenario. Okay,
Mhm.
if somebody is having 3 to 5 years of experience, and there is a one guy who has got, he is a fresher. Okay, and there is a opening in the industry, and they both perform well. But sometimes this priority can be somebody who is from the relevant industry, and they will be getting first priority to get into job. I had one scenario recently. One of our students, she got placed. It was there in that, her name was Anu. Okay. And she was a nursing student. Once again, 4 years of experience in teaching. She was in a college professor in a one nursing college. And the job opening came for the fresher, and she have been shortlisted. One fresher got job with the 2.5 lakhs rupees, and she has offer for 5 lakhs. And she recently joined. I think December month she has joined. It was the first month for her. So it depends case to case basis. We cannot generalize this question, and sometimes it depends on the personality and the attitude of that particular candidate, how they respond to the queries of HR and the technical. And one more thing, the advantage this time is COVID. Okay, so for some companies it may be disadvantage, but for clinical industry it is an advantage. There is a huge demand in market. If you are technically strong and you have the subject knowledge, they are looking for your. There are, I think, they, badly looking for the trained candidates, and chances of getting hired is high this time. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah. Any question, Vishnu?
Sir, hello sir. Morning, sir.
Yeah. Morning. Please tell me.
Sir, actually, I am a fresher for completed a Bachelor of Pharmacy graduation recently, November, sir.
Okay.
So I am new to clinical SAS. Can I get trained in this, sir, or I have to go any pharmacovigilance? Actually, pharmacovigilance, I have an idea about ecology, some other, but I am a fresher for clinical SAS. So that is the main reason.
Definitely, Vishnu will be trained for this. Initially, we'll say you what is the purpose of SAS, what it will do in clinical trial or clinical data analysis, and how to analyze the data, and what is the how to submit, modify submission, how to report completely. What is the use of this tool in the clinical trial will be explained prior. Then we'll take you into SAS. Completely will be explained, will be taken care of.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Any more questions? Hope no.
Yeah, sir. Yeah, sir. I'm Timappa.
Yeah, please.
Recently completed B Pharmacy.
Okay.
Yeah, interested in PV, sir. How was the career?
Career is definitely good. As such, now Pankaj mentioned, there are huge number of projects into the CROs. That may be a sponsor company or whatever it is. There is huge amount of requirement. The drug developmental process is continuous, right, Timappa? We can't end it. Forget about COVID. None other than some other drug is every time required, or some procedure is required. For all the purpose, pharmacovigilance is also required, right? Vigilance means safety, efficacy, how effectively it is working. Is there any ADR? It is mild, moderate, severe. The conclusion will get it from pharmacovigilance. One of the best team in clinical research industry, Timappa.
Okay, thank you.
Definitely. Any more questions? Any more queries? If no queries, we'll end up the session for today. And thanks to one and all for joining. Arpita, Diana, Timappa, Kazal, Sushmita, Lokesh, Neeta, Nikhil, Nimshi, Pallavi, Richa, Sankita, Shreya, Sushmita, Vishnuvardhan, Yashashvi, and Pankaj. Finally, please, last but not least, Priya. Thank you. Thanks to one and all to make it successful, a successful webinar. Nikhil, any question, Nikhil?
Yes, sir, I have.
Yeah, please.
So, first of all, the teaching is very good.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you, Nikhil. Yeah, please.
Thanks a lot,
me.
Nikhil.
Thank you, ma'am. But it will be more comfortable when I learn from online. Do you have any chance of that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Priya, please.
Yeah, go ahead, Sridhar, no problem.
Yeah, we have definitely we have online sessions, and our people will reach you, Nikhil, regarding that. How the mode, what are the modes, what is the platform, and what are the classrooms, and how the materials will be reached, and how the everyday live session, and after the live session, how the recordings will reach you, what are the access to you, and what are the
Sridhar,
assessment. Yeah.
I can see the list. In the list, there is one student called Shushmita MP. If I am not wrong, she is our existing student attending Gaurav's class.
Okay.
Shushmita, can you unmute yourself?
Smita.
Are you listening?
Yes, sir.
If I'm not wrong, you are from our existing batch, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you share your experience with the other people?
Sir, as for now, I feel the classes are very and very informative. The way teaching is going on, it is like in a systematic way, and every aspect of the subject is made sure that you understand. And if there is any doubt at any point, they make sure that they clarify your doubts then and there itself. So I feel it is a very good class.
Thank you, Shushmita. Any
Thank you.
problem you faced in during online classes? Anything? No.
Not as such.
So
Nothing
Nikhil,
as such.
hope you are fine with the answer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
Nikhil.
one more thing, I just tell you, like she started training 1 month ago, and I think you got the call for the placement, Sushmita.
Right now, IQ, yes, sir.
Okay.
They have sent a link
Okay.
for the online
Okay.
test.
Fine. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Is it clear, Nikhil?
Very clear. Thank you so much.
Okay. You're welcome. Okay. Thanks to one and all for participating, and hope we have given the information. Pankaj, anything from your side, Pankaj?
Yeah, done from my side.
Okay.
Definitely, I'll reach out to everyone for the upcoming batches. And any queries offline, I can help everyone for clear their doubts before joining any course to make sure that they are okay with all their doubts and queries. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks to one and all. Thank you, Priya.
Yeah. Thank you, Sridhar. Bye.
Thanks to one and all.
Thanks,
Bye
everyone.
bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you. Stay safe.